I was really good friends with. That definitely does a little something to your mentality when you have to step in that cage.
Don't run, just wait and you will see that we are destined to be if only you wouldn't mind. Don't you lose sight of what you want. Care about the simple things in life.
Hey Macy, how's it going?
Hey, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I panicked for a second. I could not figure out how to get on here.
Oh yeah, is this your first time on live?
Yeah, I've never done live before. I'm not really that type of person that you
Oh
know
yeah.
does random live Instagram posts. I
hmm
probably should because my life's it gets a little weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you could take the time to join us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, man. Thank you so much for having me. I don't have
hmm
anything else to do, so.
How's how's quarantine life going for you?
It's pretty monotonous. It's pretty much wake up. I'm trying to keep a schedule though. Like I'm trying to wake up like early. I usually get up at like 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. every day, even when
hmm
I'm training or in camp. So I've been trying to keep up with my schedule, but it's just like I think everyone can say this now. Like it's just kind of getting old, you know. But I've been
hmm
waking up early. I've been trying to train. I've been training every day. I just don't have access to my gym, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Oh
that
man, that
sucks.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about your gym, what inspired you to go to Fortis MMA in Dallas? Because you had to go away from your hometown of New Orleans. So, like, uh, what kind of like inspired you to move to Dallas?
It's kind of a strange story. So I got in contact with my manager who I have now, Mike. Mike is from Dallas.
hmm
Um, and so I signed with Mike when I was in New Orleans and I was fighting for Invicta at the time.
hmm
And we weren't really sure like what was going on. I just turned pro. I had my first fight with Invicta, and then I got basically a text message from one of the producers at TUF that said that they wanted me to go and try out. Um,
hmm
so I only had 2 pro fights, and I think they require 3 pro fights to get into the TUF house. So we kind of just like went out on a limb. Anyway, uh, with that being said, when I was on my way to try out for TUF, my manager Mike said, "Hey, there's a gym in Dallas. It's called Fortis MMA. It's up and coming. I think you would really like it. It's the next step for you in your MMA career, And my gyms in New Orleans are amazing gyms, and I
hmm
had amazing coaches there. Some of the best coaches that I've ever had are in New Orleans. It was just really hard for me to grow because I didn't have the right amount of training partners.
hmm
I only had a few high school boys to work with that were like wrestlers, which is
Yeah.
good. I mean, that's good when you're first starting, but I needed better quality training partners.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to check out Fortis. I walked through the doors, and I don't know if you know anything about my coach Sayef. He's very intimidating.
Oh yeah.
So I walk in, and he's like, come sit over here, come by my desk. And so I sat down. He pulled up one of my Invicta fights, and he watched it, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, it's like, dang girl, you can fight. He's like, I think you'd be a good fit here, because he doesn't really just let anyone train or come to Fortis. He's very specific because you have to have the right values as a person. You have to
Yeah.
have the right character, and a lot of gyms don't do that. They kind of just like, oh, like you look like good talent, like come train here, right? So he's
hmm
a very specific person, and what kind of person? Who are you? What are you gonna help? Like, are you gonna make this gym better because of your personality? And
hmm
so he tends to pick people by character, and I think that's really important. And talent too, because that is important as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how we got connected. And he looked at me and he's like, all right, so you're gonna go try out for TUF. He's like, you're gonna win the whole show. And I was like, okay.
And that's what happened.
It's the craziest thing. We have this weird connection because like I was like, okay, like I'm a 2-0 pro. They had girls in that house like Larissa Pacheco and even
hmm
Bea Malecki, like she is a 2-0 pro, in MMA, but she had like 40 some Muay Thai fights. You know, she
Yeah.
like all those people in the house had way more experience than I did. And he kind of just looked at me. He's like, "You're gonna win the whole thing." I was like, "Okay," you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we got started. And once I did win the show, I called him. The first thing I did was when I got out of the house, I called him. I was like, "Hey, coach, I won." He's like, "Yeah, I know." You know, because like he knows Mick and all those guys, so he kind of knew what was going on. He had an idea, and that's kind of how we connected. And I ended up moving to Dallas, and been here ever since.
Yeah. What's your favorite place in Dallas? Like, is there any certain place that you like going to?
I go to White Rock a lot. That's like where I do
Oh,
all my
yeah.
long runs. Yeah, I do like all of my like half marathons there and stuff like that. But I'm not really like, because like since I moved to Dallas, it's like really business. Because New Orleans is such a party place,
Yeah.
and it's like really hard to like to just stay on track when you have your friends calling you every day like, "Hey, let's go out." Because the culture there is to eat and drink, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture here is to eat and drink, but it's a lot more professional here. Like I couldn't show up to the gym the next day hungover. My coach would be all over me.
Yeah. And you know, going back to TUF, you know, you won that tournament at 145 pounds.
Yeah.
And I know that you've said in previous interviews that you feel like you're the best at 135, but seeing how shallow the featherweight division is,
Yeah.
because it has like 4 girls in there, do you think you'll ever move up, or do you think you're gonna stay
Yeah.
at 135?
Oh, 100%. I am going to move up. The thing is that when we first decided to go down to 135, you know, that's a division that we wanted to solely focus on. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
kind of wanted to get the gist of it first, you know, train for it, make sure I can make weight, and, you know, and I've done that several times. And so I'm kind of feel like I'm at a place to where I can move up and down, you know, because there is a small factor. Like I feel really strong. And when I have to make 135, I feel like I'm like the best of myself as far as an athlete goes, because there's no room for error at 135. I cannot fuck up. I
Yeah.
can't go and eat some random shit. You know, my diet has to be clean. My training has to be on point. And so 135, I really liked it because I had to work really hard to be there, you know? And it's not that I didn't work hard at 145. I just was a little bit more given to me because I kind of sat closer to that weight, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But I do feel like true potential strong, like extremely strong at 145. You know, I never really had to overthink anything. I kind of just went in there and did it. 135, there's a lot of room for error, but I still feel like I'm at my best, like peak wise when I
Mm-hmm.
go to 35. But no, I mean, I'm kind of at a place, like I said, where I want to go up or down. I'll fight either or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like at 145, it's maybe like you can fight maybe once and get a title shot. I mean, we saw that
Right.
with Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer.
Right.
Those 2 girls got wins and they were instantly in the title conversation.
Yeah.
So I think
I
that
mean,
would be a good move for you.
It would, and I never thought that it wouldn't be. You know, I wanted the fact that 135 had a lot more people for me to fight. It also meant that I had a lot more room to grow because I
Yeah.
went right out of the TUF house into the UFC at 2-0. So you know, most of those girls have been in the UFC for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And
I thought it would give me a chance to grow a little bit.
yeah. And like looking at the top 15 of the bantamweight division, is there like any specific names that you would like to fight next, or like what
Um,
are your thoughts on it?
Not specifically. I mean, I kind of will just fight whoever they give me, and that's what I was doing. Like right at the beginning of my UFC career, was like, okay, Gina Mazzani, all right, we'll fight her. Oh, we have a last minute replacement, Sarah Morris. Okay, we'll fight her. And then we wanted to start moving through the rankings when we fought Lena. And honestly, like mentally and physically, I just was at a weird place when I fought her because I know I can beat her. I mean, I really,
Yeah.
really, really do. And I know most of that fight she just did not want to stand, you know. And that was more of like of Lena having more years of experience on me and being in the cage longer than I have, being with better fighters, you know. Not that I'm not a good fighter, it's just being with really experienced fighters over the years. And so, I mean, I know if I ever fought her again, I definitely would win. And I say
Mm-hmm.
that with like 110%.
Yeah, I agree,
This
definitely.
that fight literally fucking haunts me. But you know what? Like, I think we all need a fight like that, you know? As a fighter, it's really important to have lessons and make those mistakes early in your career. So,
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like losses are kind of essential for fighters to grow in their careers.
right.
Yeah, and looking back at TUF, we haven't seen a new season of The Ultimate Fighter with the ESPN deal. Do you think the UFC is going to continue to do that, or do you think the Contender Series is like a better way of scouting talent into the UFC?
I think the Contender Series is a better way in a sense, because at least you get to have your camp. You know who you're fighting, you know. You
Hmm.
have your coaches, you're able to prepare. But I also like, I really liked the mental diversity, even the physical too, but the mental diversity and the mental like toughness that came with being in a tough house, because you had all new coaches around you. You had
Hmm.
you had to live with the people that you were going to fight, which I think is almost easier because you get to see their day-to-day life. You know,
Yeah.
when you have an opponent set up, but you don't know anything about them, you don't see them, right? You're always wondering, like, okay, well, are they working harder? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Um,
Yeah.
but being in the tough house, it's weird because like you're living with them and you're looking right at them.
Hmm.
So I think it was a cool mental game. So I think like the experience would be cool for fighters to go through. But as far as like beneficial, like benefiting, like what's the best for the fighter, I think a Contender Series is probably the best.
Hmm. And thinking about the Fire Islands and like the UFC wanting to put 3 events in 8 days, like what do you make of that? And like, would you be up to accept a short notice fight on one of those dates?
I would definitely accept a short notice fight at 145, just because I don't
Hmm.
have a full camp right now, and I need a full camp in order to make 135. And I'm still running about 30 miles a week. I'm a long distance runner, and I still need like an 8 week camp to make 135. But I can make 145 next week if I had to. So I would definitely take a short notice fight at 145. Uh, but I think it's good that they're pumping out fights back to back.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I mean, they need it. The fighters need it. ESPN needs it. UFC needs it. I think the world just needs it right now, honestly,
Hmm.
sports
Yeah.
wise. Um, but the thing is that most fighters have to train in secrecy right now. A lot of people don't have their camps, and my
Yeah.
gym isn't open. I'm pretty sure when Uriah had to fight, they did like a quarantine with him and his like teammate so
Hmm.
he could train. Um, but actually, tomorrow's going to be the first day I'm able to work with my boxing coach one on one, just because like everything's starting to kind of like loosen up.
Hmm.
But I can't imagine trying to like prepare for a fight right now.
Yeah, yeah, it would be like stressful. For me, like if I had to accept the fight without like a gym and a couple of weeks to cut weight, I'm not sure if I could do it. But
Right.
yeah, but I'm glad that you're kind of in the mindset where it's like you're fight ready, at
Right.
145. It's good to hear. And
Yeah.
I want to know about like what your home situation is because in June of last year, your apartment building was hit by a crane or something,
Yeah.
and like, and did you like push a lawsuit against the people responsible for that?
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost been a year now. We're still kind of in the works right now, so I don't want to get like into too much detail because I do have
Hmm.
um several lawsuits going on right now with them. But basically, yeah, a crane went through my apartment complex one Sunday. It was like probably like the nicest day that I'd seen in Dallas, and all of a sudden, like the weather got really bad. And a few people were saying that there was a tornado, but there was nothing like reported of a tornado touching down. The winds were just really high.
Yeah.
And they were doing construction literally in my backyard. Like they're building the same apartment complex. They own what the structure they were building behind me at the
Hmm.
time. And so they had a crane that was like up. It was Sunday, so no one was working. And apparently something wasn't either secured or something. I can't go into detail too much, but I think the winds were around like 72 miles per hour, and the crane basically like cracked, like just like like broke in half at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
at the base, and just fell on top of the apartment complex and went through several floors, like stopped right above mine. And even though the crane didn't go into my apartment, none of us were able to retrieve any of our belongings. So
Oh man, that
yeah,
stinks.
everything, yeah, it does suck, you know, but I'm over it. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I've been through a lot of shit in my life, man, and like this is like, you know, and people go through a lot of things, and shit is just shit, man. Like material stuff, like you can get that back over time. So
Yeah. And where did you go like after you were like homeless for like a little bit? Like did you have like a friend help you out, or like what happened with that?
I went home for 2 months, and then I ended up getting another apartment in Dallas and moved back to Dallas.
Oh, got it,
Yeah.
got it.
But I had to go, like my wallet was in there, and my social security card and my birth certificate. So I had to go like get a new identity and shit. I had to like go get all new
Uh-huh.
stuff. That was probably the most annoying part of it, but it's
Hmm.
all good, man.
Yeah. And last question I had for you, I didn't want to take much of your time, but what was your favorite experience from being on The Ultimate Fighter?
I think like, man, I had a few good experiences. Most of it was like real shitty just because I was in a caloric deficit the whole time and I was just
Oh
real
yeah.
angry. You know, you're always on edge. If you have to fight every week, I mean, you can't really relax. But I
Hmm.
think one of my favorite parts like of being there was having the coaches that I had on the show there. They really like hacked into my mental, my mindset, and they did a lot for me. So I'm really fortunate and thankful to have a team and, you know, coaches like I did have on the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Macy, so much for taking the time to talk with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. I mean, I'm not really doing much of anything right now, so
Uh-huh. And let us know if we could send you one of our t-shirts. Just
yeah, for
send me
sure.
an address. Yeah.
Okay, you got it, for sure.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Thanks, Macy.
All right, thank you.